They are business leaders, experts in economy, society, and culture. In 15 minutes, their insights will create a vivid picture of Vietnam. Sharing Vietnam, the country as you see it.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sharing Vietnam on Net with VTC 10. I'm Hồng Nhật. In Belgium, there's a community of French-speaking citizens, also known as Wallonie-Bruxelles Delegation. It is an official institution with parliament, government and administration.
Located in the south of Belgium, the region of Wallonie have very nice weather and imposing scenery, plus the hospitality from the people. They are perfect for the region to develop its potential on tourism. On the other hand, the Wallonie-Bruxelles Federation is also famous for its technology potential, with many enterprises working on high technology fields and developed industries. The region has cooperated with many countries in this field, including Vietnam.
To get to know more about the Wallonie-Bruxelles and its operation in Vietnam, we will have a chance to talk with Mr. Franck Pezza, the leader of Wallonie-Bruxelles in Vietnam. Thank you so much, Mr. Franck Pezza, for joining our Sharing Vietnam for today, and it's my pleasure.
It's also my pleasure.
Mr. Franck Pezza from the French-speaking community of Belgium, also known as Wallonie-Bruxelles Federation, an official institution that have a diplomatic tie with Vietnam. Mr. Franck is the leader of Wallonie-Bruxelles in Vietnam at the present. He has been in Vietnam for 4 years.
Mr. Franck Pezza, how long have you been living in Vietnam?
It's my 4th year already in Vietnam. So I'm the head of the Wallonie-Bruxelles Delegation here in Vietnam since 3 years and a half. I'm in Vietnam with my whole family, wife and children, and it's with the same enthusiasm and dynamic that I'm starting my 4th years here in Vietnam.
As a leader of Wallonie-Bruxelles Delegation in Vietnam, what are your duties and missions in Vietnam?
We are ensuring the diplomatic and institutional representation in Wallonie-Bruxelles in Vietnam, in all our competencies of the region. But I would say that my principal duty is to promote Wallonie-Bruxelles in Vietnam and to help the people from Wallonie-Bruxelles and Vietnam to do together the project.
Yeah. So can you explain more about the name Wallonie-Bruxelles of your delegation?
To answer your question, I must explain a little bit how it works in Belgium. Belgium is a federal state with region. Federal state means that the decision-making powers are shared between the federal state, that we call Belgium, and the region. And we have two main regions. One is Dutch-speaking region called Flanders, maybe you've heard about this name, and the other one is a French-speaking region that we call Wallonie-Bruxelles. And what is very important to say is that the main competences of the state has been transferred from the federal state to the region. So if I take, for example, Wallonie-Bruxelles now, we have our government, we have our parliament, and we have a complete autonomy in thematic like education, culture, economy, research, housing, transport, logistics, environment, social, health, and so on and so on. But what is very specific to Belgium, because you have a lot of federal states in the world, USA is a federal state, Germany is a federal state, but what is very particular to Belgium is that those competences can be transferred at the international level. So the Wallonie-Bruxelles government have signed a lot of agreement with a lot of countries in the world. Okay? And normally in the world we are represented by the embassies. Like here in Hanoi you have the Embassy of Belgium. But in some priority countries in the world, only 15 countries in the world, 15 countries in the world, we have decided to have our own diplomatic representation. And among the 15 countries, we have Vietnam. And that's why we have Wallonie-Bruxelles Delegation here in Vietnam.
Thank you, Mr. Franck Pezza, for your sharing. And now we'll take a break. And here's a clip about the Wallonie-Bruxelles in Vietnam.
The representative office of Wallonie-Bruxelles in Vietnam. On October 1996, the Wallonie-Bruxelles Delegation in Vietnam was established in Hanoi. From that time on, Vietnam and Wallonie-Bruxelles have a many remarkable cooperation, mainly in such fields as culture, academy, and research.
Welcome back to Sharing Vietnam. We are talking to Mr. Franck Pezza, the leader of Wallonie-Bruxelles in Vietnam. Mr. Franck Pezza, why did you choose Vietnam as the representative office?
As it is mentioned here, we have opened our delegation in Vietnam in 1996. So we are celebrating this year 15 years of having the diplomatic representation here in Hanoi. Why we have opened in Vietnam? At the beginning, we have opened in 1996 to help the Vietnamese government to prepare the summit of the Francophonie that took place in Hanoi in 1997. At this moment, in 1997, it was the highest and most important conference that Vietnam has ever organized. So we opened the delegation to help and to support the Vietnamese government. But after that, we have understood that the exchange between that we call the operators, universities, companies, artists, and so on, was so high and so good quality that the delegation is still here after 15 years and more dynamic than ever.
So how many fields that you think Wallonie-Bruxelles delegation can cooperate with the Vietnam side greatly?
We have an agreement, a cooperation agreement with Vietnam, a new agreement cooperation with Vietnam since 2002, and we have a cooperation program each 3 years.
3 years.
And we know that the principle, the priorities of our cooperation program is the academic field, universities, the research, like with the Vietnamese Academy of Science and Technology, for example, culture is very important, the manpower, and the economical side, of course.
So, Mr. Franck Pezza, can you just point out some remarkable achievements that the Vietnam and Wallonie-Bruxelles community have been cooperating very closely so far?
Look, in last November, 3 weeks ago, we had the chief of cabinet of our minister-president that came in Vietnam to make the evaluation of our cooperation program. And this evaluation mission emphasized that the excellence of the current cooperation program, and also started the new road to the next cooperation program. As a good example, I would like to point out, for example, the excellent cooperation program between the Museum of Photography of Charleroi in the Walloon region and the next for the creation of a new Museum of Photography here in Vietnam. This is something absolutely new. We can point out also the cooperation program in general medicine between the University of Liège and a range of universities in Vietnam.
So we have a lot of successful cooperation in terms of country, right? So how about economic cooperation? Can you list some of the company or enterprises of Wallonie-Bruxelles community that have good access to the Vietnam?
Yes, maybe the transition to the economical field will be the MBA, because a lot of Vietnamese people knows about the Solvay MBA. Solvay Business School of Brussels has opened a joint MBA in Hanoi and in Ho Chi Minh City since 15 years. And now it's nearly 2,000 Vietnamese students have graduated in a Belgium MBA in Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. But what about enterprises? Our enterprises are not very big enterprises. They are medium or little enterprises, but they are all active in Vietnam in very high technological fields. For example, the society Balto has a lot of projects of water purification in Ho Chi Minh City. IBA has installed in the military hospital 108 in Hanoi the first cyclotron. Cyclotron is a very, very complicated machine that helps for the diagnostic in general medicine. We have AMB that is active in hospital waste treatment. And so on and so on. Now, as you can see, little society with medium-sized project, but very high in technology.
Thank you, Mr. Franck Pezza, for your sharings. And now we'll take a short break. And here is a clip about Wallonie-Bruxelles Delegation, its beauty and its potential for technology. Okay, Mr. Franck Pezza, in your opinion, what should be done to sustain a good cooperation between two sides in the future?
I told you that in November we had an assessment mission of evaluation of our cooperation, and it was underlined that the Vietnamese authorities highly appreciate our intervention method, the methodology of the intervention, because we have abandoned the simple transfer of skill. We are not anymore in a logic of cooperation, but we move towards a partnership program, win-win. And this partnership program, we will want to develop this in the future, in our next program of cooperation. We want projects are considered and created from the beginning by the two partners, developed together by the two partners, and the results are shared by the two partners. So the two partners will win with this kind of partnership cooperation. We don't want anymore project with transfer of skill or intelligence or everything you want from one partner to another. Now we work with Vietnamese partners as equal, and the two parts are winning in this system.
So with a lot of great achievement and successful plan in the future, when we will set more priority on the plan or invest or exchange cooperation with Vietnam more and more.
I think the best way to understand to your question is to tell you that we have already with our Vietnamese partners, the government of Vietnam, a schedule for the next cooperation program. And I can give you a good news. The next joint meeting between the Vietnamese authorities and Wallonie-Bruxelles authorities to decide the new cooperation program for 2013-2015. So this meeting will be held in Brussels probably in November 2012. And at this moment we will try to organize a big event to present and to promote a part of Vietnamese culture in Belgium.
Yeah. So before we're ending our talk today, would you like to say anything to the audiences?
Yes, I would like to remember to you and to the audience that Brussels is of course the capital of Belgium, but is also the capital of Europe. And I think that a trip in Belgium, in Europe, should start with Brussels and Wallonia, because we are really at the heart of Europe. And also that because the quality of the welcome in Brussels and in the Walloon region is so developed that I can only encourage you to visit us or to study in Belgium, and especially in the French-speaking part. And I hope that if you can do that, you will have so much pleasure to discover Belgium that I had to discover Vietnam. So see you soon, I hope, in Vietnam, or I hope in Belgium.
Thank you so much, Mr. Franck Pezza, for joining our Sharing Vietnam for today. And
thank you to you.
I will see you soon in the future.
Okay.
And that will conclude our talk show for today. Thank you so much for watching Sharing Vietnam on NetViet VTC 10. I'm Ngọc Nhất, and we'll see you tomorrow.